We're live! Hi everyone, I'm Nikki from That's Normal, and this is our special edition of Talking Normal. We are going to be talking about Star Wars The Force Awakens. Tonight I am drinking water because I still have to go get some Christmas stuff after this, and it's, early here on the West Coast. So I will be, is it teetotaler? When you don't drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. And we're gonna first say our favorite character. My favorite character new character from the movie was Rey. Okay. Beth, why don't you go next?
Oh, hi guys. I'm Beth, and I'm having sweet tea out of my husband's whiskey tumbler because it looks like whiskey, but it isn't. Because I don't want to drink tonight. It's just how I feel. I'm sorry. Sometimes when we do these hangouts and I drink, I get a little crazy. So I'm trying not to do that tonight. My favorite character, my favorite new character, is actually Finn, for lots of reasons. I didn't expect it to be, but I really like him, and I love fictional Finns. Fictional Finns, I've said many times, are always awesome. So he's my favorite.
Jamie, why don't you go?
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie. I would have a little tagline underneath me, and but it's not working. So mine would say I would totally hold Finn's hand, because I thought that was really cute with Rey and Finn and running and her joking about him always grabbing her hand because he wanted to protect her, but she's like, I'm badass, I don't need it. But I would totally hold his hand because he's very cute. I I got home like minutes ago, so I literally have no clean glasses, and I grabbed a red Solo cup. But I'm drinking water. It's nothing special. But my favorite character, I kind of loved all of them, but I would really love to see more of Poe and, like, him in situations with Finn and with Rey, like the three of them together. I think that would be a fun dynamic. That's all.
Agreed. Okay, Natasha.
Hey everybody, I'm Natasha, and I am drinking Sauvignon Blanc. And my favorite new character is also Finn, actually, because he's kind of a mess, which I sort of like anyway. He's kind of flawed, but he has really good intentions, so I like him. And yeah, I kind of also want to know about Poe, though. He's a bit of a runner-up. So.
Okay, I like it. Let's just go there. Let's talk about why is Finn the best. I also like Finn. He's, like this with Rey. So go for it.
I'll start. I was really just surprised at how I think that Poe didn't get enough screen time to really get an idea of why he's awesome. All we know is he's this great pilot and he's got this really cute relationship with BB-8. But I didn't have there's not enough of him to really go on his bandwagon. So despite my love for Oscar Isaac, Finn was the most complicated, I guess. Rey has got a lot going on, but she seems like almost got too much going on with her. I don't know where she's from. I don't know where she's going, but Finn, you kind of got his whole story in this movie. And so because of that, he was the most relatable. I felt like I was on the journey with him more so than I was with Rey. And he got great one-liners, and he seems chivalrous and smart and good-hearted, and I really liked him. Plus, I love John Boyega's Snapchat. He cracks me up.
That's what I was just about to say. Let's not forget John's social media prowess and how amazing he is on chat shows too.
Yes.
I think people said Finn, so I didn't want to be like, and Finn. I do really like Rey, but I think Finn is more of you can identify maybe a little bit more with him, which is kind of odd because you're like, I wasn't stolen as a child and raised and brainwashed. But I think because it's just all the stuff that's kind of just happening around him, and he's just trying to survive, and you kind of, can identify with that. But yeah, he's just you have to imagine that how brave he had to be to go against all these years of training and what he grew up with, and to break away against that, and to rescue someone who clearly is a high enemy of the state. So yeah, he's just really brave, and the actor, I don't know, he's just likable.
Yeah, I gotta say I like seeing his sort of point of view a little bit inside what the New Order is all about. Even if he doesn't agree with it, I'm sort of fascinated by like life of the previous empire and people within it, and I guess the New Order. I like to know more about the bad guys and their motivations and the inner workings of everything that goes down. So I like to see that little glimpse from his point of view of what's going on there. But yeah, he's a great character.
Yeah, I agree.
He's awesome. I gotta say, I love Rey. That I just felt like, even right in the beginning, I was like, she's totally capable. This is finally a female character that's a capable person who takes care of herself, takes care of others. I love that she was the one who kept getting herself and Finn out of scraps. I thought, like, I got it. And she's like, oh my God, like, I just saved you from all of this stuff. I really liked that. Obviously, we know nothing, like literally nothing about her. I'm excited to see where the storyline goes. I feel like it was a huge build-up to the next one. Like, it was all like, here's all the story, you're not going to know anything until the end. So that's how I feel about Rey. We'll talk more about what everyone's saying about her a little bit later. But let's talk about, how do you feel? Like, we had all of this build-up. Everyone was talking about this movie for like years, and we've seen it. Like, was it a letdown? Was it the best thing ever?
I'll let somebody else go first. Go ahead.
I'll start. I thoroughly loved it. I think it was a really fun 2.5 hours. Some people are like, well, did you like it as much as the original trilogy? I felt like it was a very different movie from the original trilogy, but that's not to say that I didn't really enjoy it. I thought there was lots of like winks and nods to fans of the series that, special things it felt like that were done for fans. But overall, it didn't feel hokey at all, which is kind of funny because, I love the series, but there's a lot of elements, even in the original, that's just really, really hokey and cheesy. And I don't think this really felt that way at all, which I liked. But yeah, overall, 2 thumbs up. Natasha looks like she has something to say.
I'll go. I don't know. Like, this was really emotional for me, this movie. Like, I spent half the movie, clapping and cheering along with everybody else, and the other half of the movie, like, falling apart crying. I was crying pretty much from the scroll in the beginning of the story. I was just like, okay, we're doing this. Tears. So I had a lot of moments like that. It was all over the place. I felt very emotionally exhausted by the end of the whole thing. And the second time was not any easier for me. I've seen it twice now, and it was tough both times. So, but I love it, but yeah, it's tough.
Right. I think the first time I had like eyes welling up was when Rey was outside of her little home, and she sat down and she like put on the fighter helmet, and I was like, oh my God, I just had this moment of like, ooh, like tears starting to come down. I don't know why, something about how pretty it was or beautiful the moment was, but I think it lived up to everything I wanted it to be. I wasn't disappointed. I enjoyed it. We had an amazing theater. I saw it in 3D, and it was awesome. I saw it at the ArcLight in Hollywood, which sometimes if you live in the area, you know that on opening night, a lot of times like cast members will pop in and they'll let them introduce the film. And so we were like, we're going to get a cast member. We're going to get like some random person who worked on the movie So we saw this camera was like out in the lobby when we were waiting for like in a 30-minute popcorn line. It was ridiculous. ArcLight, come on. But anyway, we're like, there's a camera, and so we go inside, and the ArcLight guy comes up. He's like, we have a special guest here tonight, and everyone's like, woo! Introduce the like some random name. We're like, oh great, who is this? So he gets up there and he's like, I'm Todd Christie, the owner of 3D whatever. Like, he was the guy who owned, like, the projectors. And they're like, we are bringing you guys the best projector tonight. It's like a 6K, like, going on about this dumb projector. And people are like, oh, my God, like, just start the movie. But the projector was really bright, and it was, like, the best 3D experience. So, whatever.
That's such a letdown.
It was the hugest, like, visibly, like, people were like, oh, thanks, Christie 3D Systems.
Well, I had a great time. I mean, I've told you guys before when we've talked about Star Wars, the best date I ever had was to Star Wars Special Edition when A New Hope came out. And I was in the exact same theater that I was in 1997 when that came out. And through social media, like, and just seeing people walk in, we were at the theater 2 hours early, and we were sitting in our seats. We weren't, like, waiting in line. And I saw all kinds of people that I know, either in the lobby or in my theater. It was like being in a small town seeing, like, the best movie ever. And so I was on, Facebook for those 2 hours, and my friend was like, my husband and sons are there, and we're in the exact same room. And it was just, so it was kind of like this cool group experience, and I was there with my family, my brother and his wife. And so it was awesome. And then, of course, the movie came on. I started tearing up during the crawl. Like, because it gave so much information. You're like, General Leia Organa, and you're just, like, so excited, and there's just, it gave so much information that we hadn't had yet, and so even that was, like, really exciting. And I thought that, it was not perfect. I think there was a lot of it that my husband, who's not a Star Wars fan, was like, giving these little asides like he does. And so occasionally it didn't, like, ruin my experience of the movie, but it did make me stop and, like, think for a minute, like, while in the midst of enjoying it. I was like, oh, he's kind of right. That's, ugh. And so I don't think it was perfect, but I loved it, and it was far better than the prequels were for me when I saw those, and better than the special editions were for me when I saw those. So it was the first time I had a movie theater experience with Star Wars that just, the movie itself blew my mind, and not the guy that was whispering in my ear.
Right. I want to remind people, we didn't do this at the beginning, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know why you're watching this. There's a lot of going to be spoilers. Someone reminded me earlier when they tweeted. Spoilers. Yes. Turn it off.
I did tweet out that the Twitter won't have spoilers.
No.
Won't spoil anything on Twitter, but this is going to have spoilers, so.
Yeah. We're definitely going to talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
So let's talk theories, conspiracies, what's going on, who is who the heck is Rey? What are your theories?
I hope she's no one. Like she says in the, I guess in the original trailer, which was not in this because nobody asks her. I mean, they didn't conclude that, but when she's asked in the trailer, who are you? And she says, I'm no one. God, I really hope she's no one. Yeah. I don't feel like we need another Skywalker, another person related in this galaxy. I don't have a problem with her being somebody who was formerly trained by Luke or something, and she got left on that planet to protect her from Kylo Ren and everybody else, but I hope she's no one. I don't want her to be Luke's daughter or whatever.
I fully agree with that. I 100% agree. I just don't think it's likely. Like, I don't think they're going in that direction, and that kind of makes me sad.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. In some sense, it would be kind of cool if she was Luke's daughter, but I see where you guys are coming from. Like, does everything in this galaxy really revolve around the Skywalkers? But I guess if you look at it like Anakin was formed out of the Force, and he's kind of this divine Force being, like, then there's kind of this line of, they're almost like this mythical line of family, you know, and you probably can make lots of allusions to the Bible. But so it would be kind of cool if there was in this continuation of that line, but at the same time, yeah, there's other people with force powers, and it's hard because I'm trying not to, I promise I won't bring up too much of the stuff that's outside of this series, but we know that there are still other, at least before the events of A New Hope, there were some Jedi left. So it's possible that they had children that could have like been another line. And for the Force doesn't necessarily follow family lines. It's just random people too. So that's also a definite possibility. It kind of reminded me with the helmet, though. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Ezra in the Star Wars Rebels. He like just the whole scene with him putting on the helmets is something he does in the cartoon a lot. So maybe there's a relation there randomly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they threw out the whole. I mean, obviously Rebels is canon. They didn't throw out the whole expanded universe when they were making it. I just think that with Kylo sensing her, and he makes all these little references to "I feel it too," and he, they're so in tune with one another, and all of that kind of stuff, and her being so powerful, I would find it very hard pressed for the future screenwriters and directors to not have Rey be someone of import. I mean, I agree, Natasha. I really don't want her to be, but I just can't imagine them not. She's either going to be Luke or Leia's daughter. I just don't see how else it's going to work out.
I went into the movie really thinking her and Kylo were going to be twins, and then towards the end of the movie, I really felt that they were setting it up for some sort of relationship with Luke, and I think it's father, but I don't know. I still don't know. I still think they could be related, and we just don't know. Sister and brother related, I meant.
Yeah.
Kylo and Rey. I just don't know. I read some really interesting things about Rey and her powers, and I think they make sense, but it would be even cooler if she wasn't anyone of importance, that she would be so strong in the Force without ever even really using it to our knowledge and harnessing it. So, I mean, like going to the scene where she has Daniel Craig, if you guys know who that was.
Yeah.
She has the stormtrooper release her. And like someone said, we were emailing earlier, she doesn't even use her hand. And I really think that it does make it dramatic, but I think it is a thing because other people have talked about that's part of using the Force. I don't know if that's true, but she didn't do that. She was able to sort of defeat Kylo and not be killed in that first fight. How was she able to do all of this stuff?
Yeah.
Without really any sort of knowledge of what she's doing. That we know.
What she did, though, was mimicking Kylo Ren. When she saw how he used the Force, she kind of just threw it right back at him. And at the end, he says, you need a teacher. He kind of was her teacher through the movie. She really kind of mimicked what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of possible for her to be getting a little bit of knowledge if she can feel what he's doing, like just kind of flipping that back towards him or something like that. The idea that she's so super Force capable that she can do things that Luke couldn't do at End of Jedi, like she's without any training, without any forethought or whatever, she's got these super impressive powers. It's almost unbelievable, but it's just going to be interesting to find out who she is. But I mean, obviously she has to be a Skywalker. Our friend Mrs. Kowski on Twitter, our friend Shallon, she said she's not sure if it was J.J. Abrams or George Lucas, but someone said even if there are 100 movies, they will always follow the Skywalker lineage. So apparently, no matter what, we're getting what's going on in the Skywalker world.
So she's a Skywalker on some level. Then here's the thing, if she's Luke's daughter, who the heck is the mom? That's what I want to know. Like, does it matter? I think it does. Maybe maybe that makes her stronger if it's like two, especially if they're two Force beings.
What if she's Luke and Leia's?
Ew. I literally had that thought for like 2 seconds. I was like, oh wait, they're brother and sister.
Hey, they could just be throwing some Game of Thrones in there. It's a galaxy far, far away. Maybe incest isn't so taboo.
Westeros.
That was amazing. That would be actually like cool if that were true in the sense of a story going there to like how in the lines of kings and queens in the past, I mean, they, marry within. But I don't think today's society would be really accepting of that.
I don't think Disney is going to do that.
Yeah, there's no flowers in the attic scheming going on in this.
Dang it. Y'all know how I like twincest. Twincest is a thing, too. That's like a thing.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, Luke and Leia kissed.
Oh, yeah. But it is a thing in literature, twincest. It's like a common thread throughout.
That's weird.
I know.
Ooh. Is that like the ultimate, how people are supposedly attracted to people who look like themselves? Is that like the ultimate, like...
Yeah, it's like the ultimate narcissism. Yeah.
I guess especially if you're identical twins, it's like making love to yourself.
Oh. Ew. It's taken a random turn.
It has. I'm sorry.
I have a comment to share from a friend of mine who's not on Twitter, but she texted it to me. My friend Julia, who's listening, she says that the most frustrating thing about J.J. Abrams is when he did Lost, he's responsible for rules that are broken and ignored for plot convenience. I guess which may explain some of like Rey's abilities and things like that, which is really different from what we've seen from Force users in the past and how they learn and how long it takes and things like that.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, I believe that very, very easily that there's just no continuity with the rest of the films. But I mean, they did that with the prequels too, and that midichlorian bullshit. So.
Okay.
Our friend Shalyn said that she thinks Rey and Ren are twins, and we were just talking about that, and I wanted to say I don't think that they are. For me, my own original thought was that Ben Solo was born first, was starting to be trained by Luke, went to the dark side, and Rey was born later, and he just maybe doesn't know about her, or thinks maybe she, just wasn't around when she was a baby or whatever, so they've never met, something like that. Not that they might be brother and sister, but they weren't raised together and they aren't the same age. That was my thought.
He seems very aware of a girl, when they talked about how the droid got away and he was helped and there was a girl and he freaked out. So I feel like either he knows her or he's sort of aware of her from his past, or that Snoke has, since I guess a lot of the Sith Lords can see a little bit into the future, maybe they saw that there was this girl coming that could be a problem, and so he was maybe aware of it in some sense, oh, you're the girl, that's who he was talking about, but I don't know.
It definitely felt like he had some sort of foreknowledge or forethought about her, because he definitely was like, a girl? What do you mean a girl? He knew this was supposed to happen, or he knew of a girl that would have been important. He also didn't kill her immediately. Had she been some, peasant from, wherever, what is she to him? And of course he probably sent something, so that's why he was like, don't kill her. Maybe we could be some dastardly evil twins or something. But
I could bring her over to my side.
Right? Could you imagine both of them together? Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy powerful. Can we talk about Kylo? People seem really divided on him. On whether they like him, whether they think he's a good villain.
I think the problem...
He's what, Natasha?
The worst.
He's the worst.
I think a part of the problem with that, it's like I feel like we're supposed to have some sympathy for him, but we don't really understand like the struggle, like how he got there. Um, be at least like in the original series with Darth Vader, you know, like he's this evil guy, and you're not supposed to wonder about his backstory or kind of know who he is. And I don't know, I felt like, you know, they're trying to portray it so you like really hope for him to turn to the light, but I don't even understand how he got there. And I guess that'll probably come out in the next couple series, but I don't know, it felt like a little forced.
Yeah, I feel like
Force
people
with
are
the Force.
comparing. I feel like people are comparing apples to oranges. Like Anakin or Darth Vader, as we knew him, was much older by the time he was such a crazy, powerful, scary character. Kylo is younger. He's trying to figure this thing out. I read this interview, I think it was on EW, where J.J. Abrams was talking about how the title is really important, that it's not only a beginning and an evolution and awakening for Rey as a main character, it's also the same for Kylo, and that he is trying to figure out how to be a bad guy and how to be the villain. So we're kind of walking with him in the awful, awkward emo steps that he has.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it. I like the aspect that he's not this full-grown, like already, you know, fully rooted in evil character. He's throwing temper tantrum like a toddler, and you know, stomping his feet and you know, hitting himself like in this masochistic way, and you know, things like that. Like he's not altogether there. He reminds me a little bit of like, you know, teenage boys that, you know, throw punches against walls or whatever because they have nothing better to do, and so he's like constantly. And so I liked that aspect that he's still coming into his evilness, but I'm not 100% sure that I want him to come out of it and not remain the villain throughout the trilogy and be redeemed or whatever. I mean, I think that same way that it would feel like kind of strange if Rey is this perfect Skywalker savior, it would be just as strange for him to be this Skywalker redeemed in the end, instead of just a baddie forever and dying sometime in, you know, the third act of the 9th movie.
I like stories of redemption, so I am a fan of him like turning or being a double agent or, you know, doing something like that. Obviously, I don't know if it makes or not obviously. I don't know if it makes for the best story. We'll see. It could be cool. Then maybe there's more people down the line. We have 2 more movies, so maybe not everything evil has revealed itself, and who's Snoke and what's really going on there. So.
Right, and let's talk about, Kendra wanted us to talk about how little screen time Captain Phasma got.
Right? Seriously. She's so cool.
I feel like there were a lot of characters that were made like into a big deal for the pre-promotion or shown in a way, and then like had very little screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sell toys.
That's what I was about to say. If you look at some of the toys and also that like art of the Force Awakens book, there are people in there that are not in the movie. So somehow in a later cut, people got the axe at some point.
Yeah. I expected more. I expected more from her and less from Domhnall Gleeson, to be honest.
Yeah. His character felt like, what are you even doing here? Like, are you just a person? Like, he wasn't, like, didn't have enough of a storyline to even warrant being an actor that we care about, you know?
Yeah. And there seemed to be, like, the First Order has got Supreme Leader Snoke, whatever. It's got Kylo Ren. It's got Domhnall Gleeson's character, whose name escapes me, and Captain Phasma, who were all totally different in terms of, like, what their station is in the First Order, but all meant to be like big bads. And, you know, it seems, I realize that there's Vader and, you know, Tarkin and Palpatine in the originals ones, but it just felt like there was so much and they were all so different. I couldn't get a grasp of how that hierarchy worked enough to know who was the most menacing, I guess.
I don't know, I thought it was kind of, I don't know, I sort of read it that Hux is the military person. He understands actual campaigns and how to run a battle. Kylo Ren is kind of there for fear-mongering and to do, you know, his bad guy, like Snoke's bad guy work with, you know, the Force and hunting down specific people. But I think Hux is more like Tarkin in that he's just like the military commander. He understands that stuff. So you kind of have to have two, because Kylo Ren is obviously emotionally unstable. I really wouldn't trust him with running my you know, all my military. No, thank you.
So Kylo Ren's like the head of the CIA, but Hux is like the attorney general or something, or
Yeah,
like
maybe.
he's the head of the armed forces.
Yeah, or it's totally like a nepotism thing. They're like, oh God, it's the grandson of Anakin. Like, we just have to give him a job. Do they know that, actually? Does
Yeah, I
anyone
think
know that?
we talked about how like I think the novelization makes it more clear, right? That the First Order is aware of what happened at the end of Jedi.
Yes, and that's a great point. So for everyone out there, there's a great piece on, I think it was Daily Dot, and if I can find the link, I'll tweet that out. But it went through the novelization, which actually answers some of the questions that I was like, you know, there were some things that were confusing, and it actually gave a little bit of a more explanation of how, like, you know, things connect, and that was one of the points that the First Order actually did know who he was and his relationships to Vader, and so that was pretty cool. If you're cool with knowing more information that wasn't directly in the film.
I am. Now I gotta buy that book. I didn't even know it had come out. I was like, dang it! I've missed
Yeah.
it all.
My friend started listening to the audiobook. He's like, I'll let you know if there's anything important in it. And then we saw a summary of what was in the novel. I was like, I've got too much to read. I'll just read this summary, and thanks for offering.
Yeah.
I want to quick touch on this thing that I keep seeing on the internet about Rey. A lot of people, I'm going to call them idiots. A lot of people keep saying Rey is a Mary Sue. So for those not initiated, Mary Sue is a character. It's a pop culture term. Anyway, it's a character with capabilities that people don't know why they have them, or they've developed it without a lot of training, and that they either don't want them, they reject them, they don't know why they have them, and then also it can be a stand-in for the writer or whoever wrote that character. So that's a bomb, and I was just annoyed that let's take the female protagonist and say that she's a Mary Sue. That's what it came across to me, like all of these writers saying this, where while I think there are good points there are things that, why does she know all of these things? I think there's also things we don't know. Like, how do you guys feel about this Mary Sue title she's been given?
Well, I think when you look at, I don't know, I looked at like all the mechanical stuff that she knows, like she's living in the AT-AT or at or whatever it's called, and she's going through and finding parts, like you're going to start to understand that. And if you look at Anakin, if we want to talk about the prequels, like how did he learn all that stuff? You just tinker and you figure it out, and he was, you know, kind of a genius in that. So that kind of does still make me think that she's probably of the Skywalker line, of that like natural ability to understand, you know, that kind of stuff, and to put that together. And like, well, I guess also, but her ability to know languages also, that made me think that maybe she grew up like and was being taught like kind of the way a princess would have to learn lots of languages, and you know, maybe she grew up with C-3PO
Right.
teaching her languages.
It makes you wonder who is her guardian on Jakku.
Yeah.
That guy at the beginning, the general, the old
Yeah.
guy. I mean, that makes the most sense. I just think with the Mary Sue title, I feel like people want to judge characters by the first book out of a trilogy. When we're going on a journey with them and we don't have the full story, why are we calling them something when their entire arc hasn't been revealed to us? So
Yeah.
that's what I don't like about that
And
debate.
my thoughts on it is that the Mary Sue itself has more than one meaning now. Like, you could give me a Wikipedia definition and be real specific about what Mary Sue is, but to be honest, it has more than one connotation now in pop culture, and a lot of people have embraced it as positive. But I mean, the idea, specifically the screenwriter that first said it, that kind of made the issue, he said, if you're taking Mary Sue as meaning someone who has extraordinary abilities and can get out of anything for no reason, they're just all of a sudden they trip and everything happens perfectly for them, right? They don't even mean to, but everything works out for them. You could look at it and say, yeah, you're right. She's constantly saving herself and everyone around her. You know, she's in danger. Like the one time Kylo Ren, like, I don't even know how he does it, makes her pass out or whatever. It's the only time she's in any real danger. She gets out of everything without anybody else's help. Like, the biggest example of that for me is when Finn and Han are there getting her, and he's like, we got to go across or whatever. He's like going to go get her, and Han's like, look out the window, and she's like crawling on the wall by herself with like no equipment, no like climbing ropes or anything. She's just like perfectly handling it on her own, and it's great and it's wonderful for, you know, for girls to see that and for women to see that, and just for the fact that it's just a character that's a woman that's doing these awesome things for herself. But at the same time, Leia is an awesome character who's a woman who does things for herself, but she's not able to like get herself out of a detention center by using the Force all on her own. She has to be rescued, and that doesn't give her any less agency. It just makes her a fully more rounded, more real character. Still a strong woman, still a great female character, but not capable of doing everything on her own. And I think that was the criticism, was that Rey seemed so capable that she needed no one, and that wasn't the case for Luke. Luke wasn't so capable that he needed no one. It wasn't the case for Leia. It wasn't the case for Han. All have to rescue each other, and she seemed to be able to do it all on her own, which I kind of agree with. But I don't think that that's fully Mary Suing either.
Yeah. Well, I don't think in every case she would have been able to do something on her own. I think, like Jamie said, she has a lot of experience with machines and tinkering and hoisting herself up, you know, inside of a battleship. Like her crawling or whatever, going across the side of the battleship, that seems like something she kind of does every day when she's going out and scavenging. And I don't think she couldn't have gotten out of some of the scraps without Finn or without Han. I think, though, she is an empowered character, but I'm interested to see where all of it comes from and where all of it goes. So,
Me too.
anyone?
Me too.
All right. I think we should just go there. Let's talk about the ultimate spoiler, the ultimate plot point of the entire thing. Dear Han Solo was killed.
I mean,
Natasha gonna cry?
Okay. I mean, it felt obvious that that was going to happen, like when the situation presented itself, and I know that Harrison Ford has wanted to be killed off of the series for forever now. So like the fact that it was him, like, not that shocking in a sense. I guess the way that it happened, it just felt so stupid. I don't know. Like, did he really think just like I don't know, his son just helped trillions of people be killed, and that, you know, he thought he could just walk up to him and be like, son, come home, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it just felt kind of dumb.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people like that he's one of the biggest characters, and that's how it ended. Like, it didn't seem like there was enough due given to him, and in my view at least. It seemed like, oh my god, he's gonna walk out there, he's done. Like, this is done. It didn't seem, I don't know, it didn't seem appropriate in the time.
That I think that his death wasn't appropriate. I felt like it wasn't dramatically put out well. I mean, think about like Luke losing his hand in Cloud City and just how iconic it looks and him like falling down and then you see him hanging there. And it's this beautiful scene and it's so dramatic and there's so much going on and it's such this and it's so well written the end of that movie and the way that that happens, and this felt like immediately you know what's going to happen when he walks into that room. You can see the bridge with the huge chasm underneath it, and it looks just like Gandalf, you know, in the Mines of Moria, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's going to die. I mean, I was waiting for him to go, fly, you fool. I mean, it was just like, he's going to die, and he's going to fall into that abyss, and Chewie's going to see it and, you know, go after, and you just knew what was going to happen there, so there was no tension, and because there wasn't any tension, that's why I didn't feel like it had it to do. I felt like there could have been more that made it feel like it was a death worthy of Han Solo. It didn't feel like it was.
There wasn't any emotional buildup. You're like, yeah, this sucks that his son's crazy evil and he's going to save him, but we haven't earned that. They haven't earned that in that scene yet, so they just felt like, well, that happened, oddly. I don't know. Natasha, you're a huge fan. I think we need to hear from you on the topic of Han Solo.
Yeah, actually, Han Solo is my absolute favorite character in Star Wars, so as you can imagine, I took it rather hard. I mean, I pretty much knew it was going to happen. There was a lot of build-up to that, but I didn't really know I was going to take it quite as badly when it actually happened, because I think the most heartbreaking thing was, you know, he looks so surprised when Kylo Ren runs him through and he puts his hand up and like still caresses his son's face, and I just like lost my shit. Sobbing. Yeah. My sister's trying to console me in the theater. Like, I was just a mess. And I was a mess the second time I saw it too. And I got a mess about it the second time when Han and Leia see each other again for the first time, and because I was like, oh God, I know what's gonna happen. I'm so, you know what, I hate to say it, but I felt like really depressed about this all weekend, and I'm coming to terms with it a little bit more, and I understand why it had to happen, but yeah, he's definitely my favorite character, and I'm pretty sad about it. But and I had a lot. Like, I'm sure if you think Luke felt bad before about Kylo Ren, when he felt Han die through the Force, which I'm sure he did. Yeah, I can imagine he feels absolutely terrible.
So then for you, it had it was fully emotionally built up, and it had the scene was full, like, impactful and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it didn't have any, it wasn't.
And I've got like I have a lot of prior connection to that character. So,
right.
I don't know. I guess it's different for everybody. You know, everybody's got their own history with Star Wars. Everybody's got their own emotional connections to different things in it. That's a big one for me. So, I can understand if other people don't feel as strongly about it, but
yeah.
You know what's strange is, like, and I can cry. I cry pretty easily. I think I quote Kristen Bell a lot about this. It's like, emotionally, I just have to be between like a 3 and a 6, and any extreme, either I'm happy or sad, and I cry. Like, I just can't handle extremes on either side, and I'm just like tears. But for me, I didn't get sad during Star Wars, and I don't know. It's weird for me because, like, I mean, I cry listening to Hamilton every day. So the fact that I didn't cry for this, I was kind of like shocked at myself, because even just being like really happy or like upset. And I wonder though if there was, for me, if there was more build up there, especially for me, because like when there's like parents, or it's just like the feeling of abandonment, or like somebody really caring for their child, or like I get really emotional around that because of my own abandonment issues, but I just did not. I was just like, did not feel any emotion around it for whatever reason. And I wonder if it was just presented differently, if I would, or maybe if I wasn't like, oh, he's walking into that, like really, like for me, it didn't work.
I think maybe if there had been, if I think J.J. Abrams was trying to hide that it was going to happen, because like for me, I thought Chewie was going to die, and they build it up so that you think it's going to be Chewie. Chewie the detonator, you know, and tells him, they just built it up to make it seem like it was going to be Chewie. I thought it was going to be Chewie all along. Anyway, so when it's Han, it's a little bit of a surprise, but it's also the emotional stakes are just that it's Han Solo, really. I mean, the emotional stakes aren't there fully. At least, I mean, I've only seen it once. Maybe I was too focused on other things to feel that. But you knew it was going to happen when you walked into the room, so it felt like, I don't know, it felt like a letdown. And I'm sad that it happened, but I think it was perfectly fine in the story of the whole world when you're taking everything together. It's fine for you that Han Solo died in that moment and that way. Not that I'm not sad about it, but I don't think it's like a bad plot decision or whatever. I mean, I'd love to see Harrison Ford in the future movies, but I understand him not. And I'm also glad that he got as much screen time as he did in this one, because I was afraid he was going to be relegated to, you know, as much screen time as Leia got, which was very little, and that would have made me sad. So I'm glad he was more of a presence in this one, I guess, before he bit it.
Yeah, he got like so much screen time. You're like, oh, he's just one of the gang back in it, you know?
Right.
And then that happens. I think it was a good plot choice for it's gonna set up for what's gonna happen. I just don't like how it was executed. I think that's where it came down to me. I just don't think it was earned at that moment, by the actors, by anyone, whatever. Yeah, Han Solo. I don't know. See where that's going.
I'm sad, but I think it'll be okay because we have the young Han Solo movie to look forward to.
Right? I'm so pumped about that. Is that one guy who looks like him really gonna? Is that really the guy who was cast, or was that like a fan cast?
Nobody's cast anybody yet.
Okay, so that was a fan thing I saw.
Can we fan cast it really quickly here, and maybe if we're lucky, like the Outlander fandom, we can actually get it happening? I want Ansel Elgort really badly.
Oh. But I don't think he's good enough. I'm sorry.
I don't even know who that is.
He's in Divergent and The Fault in Our Stars.
He's the kid from The Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, I never watched that either.
I could see him like physically, that kind of thing. I just don't know if he's like that kind of like charming, smart.
I totally think he is. I think he's got that like smarmy, like sarcastic, kind of scoundrelly attitude. I think he could do it so well.
Maybe. Maybe something about him I just don't like. I gotta find this fan cast guy. Gosh, he looked like a young Harrison Ford, whoever he was. But
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I have no idea about his acting abilities, but he was real cute.
Okay. Well, I'm for Ansel for Han. Hashtag Ansel for Han. I'm
Ansel's brows.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna get that one going.
Oh, it would be Ansel's smirk for this case.
Okay.
All right. Let's final thoughts. Where the heck are they gonna go in the second one? Did you have a thought, Jamie? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say. I'm like, whoa. We have to talk about how it ended, and and
where's that going?
It was kind of funny. Like again, it just must have been like my state of mind watching this. Like I almost wanted to laugh at the end of them just staring at each other and her like handing out his arm. I was like, what is this? The soap opera ending? Like we're just gonna stare and not say anything. Like I was like, I don't think this really because that would have been a Poe moment, being like, do I talk? Do you talk? Like just standing there. So that was kind of a little bit funny. But supposedly, I guess that was like the original Jedi temple where they were at. So I wonder if she'll get some training, or we won't see it, but it'll be known that she's gone through some training. And I've read some places that it's. Well, I guess we kind of have to talk about the theory of whatever his name is, Grandmaster Snoke, or whatever his name is.
Supreme Leader.
Supreme Leader. I was like Grandmaster, Grand Moff.
Grandmaster
Leader.
Flash.
Yes. I'm just gonna make them up. And how he is possibly, a Sith Lord that we thought was dead but has come back. And who I guess like has just been biding his time behind the scenes. At least that's kind of what some of the fan theories have said. So I guess like he's going to be the big bad continuing on. I don't know.
So we need to talk about the last scene with Luke and Rey, and we need to talk about what our theories are for the second movie. Last scene with Luke and Rey, for me, felt like Lord of the Rings and the end of a Marvel movie. I was like, this is not a Star Wars ending. This is a Lord of the Rings / Marvel ending. It's like, let's set the next movie with this beautiful New Zealand landscape and bring it back to the dream she had about a sea or whatever, but really not connect it to the Star Wars universe, which those movies end with Celebration.
Yeah.
And
well, I guess they can't really celebrate because trillions of people died. Like,
Yeah.
when you think about it, like, it's not just, like, one world that was destroyed. When you have a world full of billions of people, there were, like, multiple worlds.
But they had a huge, for the smallest resistances, they have this huge victory over the First Order, and they got rid of a giant planet Death Star.
Well, I mean,
Big deal.
The people in the Resistance were, high-fiving and that sort of thing, but I think that there's still so much that's out there that there just wasn't a celebration moment. We killed off one of the biggest characters. All
True.
these people died. There's so much that's in the air now. I think when we got to the end, I was like, this whole thing has just been a setup. This is all a setup. Just play the next movie. Like, I was just so, like, a little annoyed about, not annoyed, just like, just hit play. Like, let's just keep going because you just set everything up.
Yeah. But is that a problem? Because, I mean, like Poe's really excited to see BB-8, and we're not sure if Finn is going to make it, and Rey and Leia are having this sad moment of thinking about Han, but then everybody's kind of celebrating in the background because they won the thing, and then she goes off to find Luke, and you know what she's going to do, but then we have to watch her do it for another 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and you're like, is it a problem that the movie ended in such a conflicting way? We're sad, but they won, so should they have the celebration like they do at the end of A New Hope and the end of Jedi, or should it be a sad thing, or should she go off on a quest? It's like the beginning of a quest, the end of the movie, it just felt odd to me. I loved seeing Luke. I loved it, but I was like...
It's the awakening. Like, this is the beginning, essentially. I liked the ending. I actually really did. I got a little emotional. I was also like, this whole freaking thing is just A New Hope all over again. Like, every single little scene was totally A New Hope. Not that I'm mad about that. I'm just saying there was a lot of, like, almost scene-for-scene recreations. What the heck was I going to say? I don't know. Someone else jump in while I just got angry about it.
I don't know why Rey and Leia were having this tender moment. They don't even know each other.
Yeah.
Do they?
I'm like,
exactly.
You guys are not familiar with each other. This is weird.
Yeah.
Mother, auntie?
No. But if they do know each other, that was not established ever in the movie. So there's no reason for them in this movie to have a moment. It was weird.
No.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things plot and story-wise that I'm just kind of scratching my head over, and maybe it's one of those things that eventually it'll be discovered, and, I guess you look at A New Hope and it's not like everything was talked through in that movie, but, like, for us to come in however many years later and for them, like, why is there still a resistance? Like, that to me didn't make sense. Like, if they formed this new republic, like, why is there this resistance that's sort of associated but not? And then, like, where did this new order come from? And I guess some of it, like, if you read the books, like, a little bit of that's explained, but it's not really. And so, like, coming into it, I was just like, I don't understand, like, what's driving this entire thing. And it wasn't, and even the crawl doesn't really, like, explain what was going on.
Yeah, because, I mean, the New Hope is simple. There's an empire. There's a rebellion against empire. I mean, that's politics are simple. And in the prequels, the politics are convoluted and messy and boring. So just like get like a happy medium between those two where it's obviously not super simple, but don't bog us down with like the history of the past 30 years or what's going on. Just give it to what we need. And what we don't need is a moment with Leia and Rey. I mean, we don't need that to tell the story of this movie. It might pay off in a future movie, but that's not necessary right now. Let them have that moment later on. So
and that's not to say that I feel like I'm like there's like little things that I'm harping on, but I still really love the movie. Like it's just like there's all these, I get so caught up in the mythology and the overall like how everything connects together that these little things just like drive me batty, and so it's just a nice forum for me to get to talk about it and get like, because my nobody at work wants to listen to stuff, so I'm glad I have you, internet.
Star Wars therapy group. I mean, I think I saw, A New Hope for the first time when I was like 4 or 5. So I never like plot holes or not plot holes when you grow up not knowing that you didn't see something. You know what I mean? That you're seeing it for the first time. So it's interesting to think about it now and think about what A New Hope looks like all on its own versus what this looks like all on its own. And people, of course, it's going to get nitpicked to death. It's the biggest movie ever right now. I mean, it's just going to, of course, it was good. It was great. I love the introduction to the new characters. I think it's going to set up a really, really great trilogy and a great story, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I wasn't disappointed, but I wasn't 100% like, this is a perfect movie. It wasn't perfect. I liked it better than Jedi.
It definitely wasn't perfect. I thought J.J. Abrams, the screenwriters, everyone at Disney had really big shoes to fill, and they had impossible odds. There's a lot of haters out there. It could have gone south real quick. I think given all of that stuff, I think it's really good. I would give it like a 90 out of 100 if we're grading it. Like it was a great ending because I left the theater wanting to see everything else, wanting to know more, wanting to watch it again. I like that they left us a little uncomfortable. I like that there's tension and that we don't know everything. I think that's really good storytelling. Had they ended on a celebration, though Star Wars canon friendly, I don't think it would have been truthful to where we are in the story. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but I really hope we get to see some sort of Luke and Rey heart-to-heart, tete-a-tete situation.
Do we think that Finn and Rey are going to have a romance?
I think so. Movies? Or at least it will be kind of a one-sided, like Finn definitely. You can tell he likes her, he's thinking about her in that sort of way. I think she is so like, what the heck am I doing? Where am I? Who are my parents? That sort of thing. That she's not like, thinking about that right now.
She's like Katniss and he's like PETA.
Yes, totally. Yeah, that's exactly it.
But she seems more oblivious.
Yeah, she seems like, whatever, I'm just a teen girl and I don't know anything.
Someone said something like they thought that Finn and Poe and Rey would eventually have a little love triangle, and I thought that it would be funny if it was Kylo and Finn and Rey. Like she has a pull towards Kylo where they share this, share some stuff telepathically. And Finn has to be like, no, go back to the light side with me. I'm a really, really good thinker of plots, obviously.
That made a lot of sense. That kind of reminded me of with Finn. I don't think we really talked about whether we think Finn has force powers or not.
Oh yeah.
Which I feel like he does, but I don't know. I feel like if he was, and I think I read this, like someone else said this as well, but like for him to overcome all like the brainwashing and the mind control and to come out of that, it seems like maybe there's something else. I mean, not to say that a regular person couldn't do that, which I don't know, but like in this world, it seems like, and his ability to really hit targets, because we know stormtroopers are notoriously really bad. And then in the Star Wars universe, they're often going after Force-sensitive children and trying to use them, like the Empire formerly did that, and either one killing them off or trying to turn them to the dark side or to use them. So it seems like something that would be plausible.
I think he is.
I think there's at least some sort of sensitivity. Whether he's going to be some badass, crazy Master Jedi, I don't know. But I think he definitely at least has some sensitivity. And I think that one joke he made to Han Solo about, like, we'll just use the Force, as a joke. And Han's like, that's not how it works. Like, I think that was, like, a funny little wink of, like, maybe there's something more there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, Kylo at the very beginning senses the fact that Finn is not shooting his weapon. There's a stormtrooper that's not on board. And I mean, I don't think that they can just sense non-Force sensitive folk. I mean, like, in that way. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's how it seemed to me. So I think for him to, like, cock his head, like, what's up with that stormtrooper over there, meant that stormtrooper was tapping into the Force in some way, even if he didn't realize it.
Yeah, that moment, something you knew was definitely up, and Kylo definitely sensed him and knew something was different there. He didn't do that to anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was another tip-off.
Yeah. That was really kind of the only tip-off to me, because I think, like, some of the other stuff can just be explained away, like being able to shoot on the thing or whatever. That thing is, whatever. It doesn't seem like it's, whatever. But I mean, I think that some of that other stuff could kind of be him and Rey saying, I've never done that before, and I've never done that before. I mean, that could just be adrenaline and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, but I think that Kylo, like, cocking his head and being aware that he's different made for an interesting case that he's got Force abilities.
Definitely. What do you think they're going to explore in the next film? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do?
Well, in that novelization, I guess it's talked about how, like, Rey heard, I guess, a dark voice telling her to kill Kylo. So I wonder if there'll be, like, she'll have her own struggles possibly with, like the light and the dark, or if that'll be explored anymore, or if Supreme Leader, whatever, I want to call him Grandmaster, so I don't know why. But I wonder if he'll try and exploit that at some point as well, like, to try and bring her to the dark side.
Yep. 2 twin stars. Mm-hmm. All I know is I just want to see some Luke and Rey training moment. Maybe not even training, just, like, some sort of, like, here's what happened and here's why we're somehow connected. I need that to, like, feel okay about everything. And then I really want to see Leia and Kylo and the fallout from what the heck he did. And she's not going to be okay with that. So that's going to be good.
I wonder if Luke is going to be very resistant to helping out. Just very, if it's going to take some real persuasion or some real danger for someone else. I mean, obviously, people who he hears about have been in danger for a long time, and he's still away. So I wonder if he's going to be very, very resistant for good reason to helping her or even to coming out of hiding.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get some Force ghosts that are like, no, you got to train her?
Right. Yoda descends as a ghost.
Yes.
I taught you. Pass it on, buddy.
They did say, I read that Sir Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor's voices are both in the little montage that Rey has. I think maybe they said Yoda's voice at some point was in there as well. So
they had Frank Oz come in, or is he still,
right.
I think he's still alive. He came in and said something, and then I guess with Alec Guinness, he at one point said "afraid," and they pulled out Rey from "Afraid" and had him say her name, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it is. I thought that was really cool too. So
yeah, they did so many really awesome things for fans, and just, like, little story hints and Easter eggs. And
I want to say what my favorite things were. I felt like, for me, my favorite throwbacks to fans, or my favorite, like, little tidbit, were the way that they introduced the iconic stuff. Like, the Millennium Falcon gets the most wonderful introduction ever, where you don't see it, you don't know what they're talking about, but he's like, what about that? And she's like, no, it's a piece of garbage. And then she's like, always take the garbage. And there's the Millennium Falcon. And it's so great. Everybody in the theater cheered. I was tearing up right then. And so that was a great moment. C-3PO's moment is great. Like Han and Leia having this beautiful, like, romantic swell, and then, whoa, it's just like his head pops in. R2-D2, like, little awakening or whatever was pretty cool. It wasn't my favorite, but Luke's lightsaber. I mean, all of these things, even like the chessboard. I just thought everything had these really great. When they brought up something that was iconic, it had, even had the hyperdrive on the Millennium Falcon. Like, they had great introductions, and I felt like they couldn't have done that better without being really heavy-handed with it. And they weren't heavy-handed; it was just perfect. So
yeah, and I like that they were poking fun at themselves too. Like, some of this we know is a little dated, or it would appear really dumb at this point. Like Finn getting in the gunner seat in Millennium Falcon, he's like, "What is this? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even work." Like, shit.
That thing reminded me. My mom used to have an exercise bike that was from like the late 60s or the early 70s. It was real, like one of those things you could not move, made out of like tin metal. It was orange and khaki, and it would just, I mean, it had like a brown braided leather seat. It was so old it looked like a medieval torture device, but it was her exercise bike. And in the 90s and stuff, we'd get on it, and we were used to like Suzanne Summers, like sleep exercise equipment. We're like, Mom, what is this hunk of junk that no one can pick up and move out of the den? It's so hideous. And that's what it reminded me of, was like my mom's old, like, late 60s exercise bike.
It's about the same era, right?
Yeah.
Natasha, I know you had some technical difficulties. Do you have other favorite things, or want to talk about like what you think is what'll happen next in the next movie?
I don't know if I missed it or not, but I guess my favorite thing is just to figure out who the Knights of Ren are and what their deal is, who recovered Luke's lightsaber from Bespin. I want to know, and I want to know if Snoke is an alias and if he's really Darth Plagueis, because that is like my favorite theory. I get very giddy about that one, and the fact that like his music is the same music as when Palpatine was explaining to Anakin who Darth Plagueis was in the opera. I was like, oh my goodness, that's genius. So I'm excited to figure out if that's a thing.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll go there? You think they'll let us know if that's a thing, or you think they'll just keep on trucking on with him just being a big baddie that we never understand? Like Palpatine, we never know his origins as Senator Palpatine, in the original trilogy.
Well, we know where he's from. I guess we don't know a whole lot other than that, because now certain things too are not canon anymore, and so
Sure.
I guess it sort of opens up a lot of possibilities. But I think that would be really cool if it did come sort of full circle, and if they did tie in the prequels a little bit more with the rest of the story, and if that did turn out to be, Palpatine's old master, and he's just been biding his time, and he let Palpatine do all the hard work in the galaxy, killing off the Jedi and stuff, that would be a pretty genius move on his part.
Cool.
Especially because he's the one who, I guess, in theory, created Anakin. So, like, he really set this whole thing in motion.
He's got a big stake in it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
That would be awesome.
It feels like they have to do that, right? Because like anything else would kind of be like on a less grand scale, unless they just continue, and past this trilogy, unless there's like another trilogy that comes about. I mean, it seems like it has to be.
I wouldn't
something of that size.
I wouldn't put all of your eggs in that basket, though. I mean,
I'm not, but I still love it as a theory. I just think it's like fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's great too.
I'm gonna hold on to it for a while.
I think it's great too, but I mean, I feel like there's so many hats in the ring that like knowing a great fan theory or knowing a good, very plausible theory that kind of ties all the movies together and has this one. it's not, it feels like it's not something that a million heads come together and come up with. It feels like they're like, what? Who? And it just still get like denigrated down. I would hope not. It feels like it might. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
On a really, can I just share something real quick because I am so excited about this, guys. I found this at Target, and it's sorry, you can see kind of the reflection.
Dip it down.
There we go. It's Darth Vader, and it's Ahsoka Tano. Like, what?
Wow.
It's so. For those who don't know, she was on Clone Wars, and now she's in Star Wars Rebel. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's funny because like this up here is for the current movie, but these are people that are not in this current trilogy, so it doesn't quite all make sense. But I think there's going to be a confrontation coming up on Star Wars Rebels, and I think that they released this like way early because I don't think we'll really know that confrontation probably won't happen until the spring. But she's one of my favorite characters, and I'm like, I bought this for myself. I don't own a lot of toys or action figures, but I was so happy in Target when I found this. So anyway, sorry, I just had to share because I've been sitting here like almost like I've been like, do I take it out? Do I play with it? Do I set it up? It's gonna go on a bookshelf, but anyways, I'm just really excited, guys.
You should open it. You should definitely open it.
Yeah. Don't keep it in the boxes. It's
not
not
going to
worth
be
it.
worth anything in 10 years anyway. Just open it.
Open it.
It's
Open
good
it and
office
enjoy it.
garnish, at least. This is my favorite thing. I want the real thing. Hopefully someday I'll get the little remote control. Okay, let's just do a final rating. We never did that, I don't think. So let's do, in the spirit of That's Normal, out of 5 wine bottles, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. How did you rate Star Wars The Force Awakens? Go Beth.
Oh gosh, I didn't want to go first. I'm gonna give it 4 wine bottles. I thought it was fine family fun. I loved the characters. I thought it was well acted. I thought it had good pacing. I loved the special effects. I did not love every detail or every little thing that they tried to do with it or that they didn't do. But I was very, very pleasantly surprised with just the dedication that J.J. Abrams and company had to putting out a Star Wars movie that fans were really going to love. So 4 or 5. Super drunk. 4 out of 5.
Okay. Jamie, your rating?
I would give this 4 wine bottles and maybe a glass. So you've opened the other bottle. I think, and this might be skewed of just having such low expectations, and it's quite surpassing my very low expectations. So I'm sure as I think about it, like, and even now I'm like, plot hole, and like just because of the whole sense of in the whole series of films and just like, and I think Natasha, I think maybe you brought it up about J.J. Abrams and just him kind of taking things that are established and then just going a whole other direction. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's really going to happen in this trilogy, which I think for me, for somebody who loves like mythologies carried out over a course of series, and I think that's probably going to bother me in the long run, but right now I'm pretty happy with the series, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the 3D was pretty awesome at one point because I was in the 3rd row, and it's a long story short, but at one point, because I was in the 3rd row, there was like a ship like at my eye level, and I was kind of doing this in the theater. So I think and my friends were laughing because I was like, well, I got it. So yeah, everyone in the theater was like cheering and loving it. At least on opening night. When I saw it the second time, it was a very sedate noon crowd, and they just didn't laugh, they didn't make noise. I was like, yeah. So anyways, but yeah, really loved it. 4 bottles and a glass.
Okay, Natasha.
3.7. Just for lack of detail, I don't know. A lot of missing information in there. But, I mean, overall, I liked it. I'd still like to punch Harrison Ford in the face if I ever meet him, though, for making me cry my own tears. And for insisting for so long that his character be killed off. So, thanks a lot, jerk.
Jerk. I'm going to give it the highest rating of the group, and I'm going to say 4.5. It was an amazing movie-going experience. I enjoyed the movie for what it was, where it is within the, what do you even call, what are 9 movies together? This trilogy, the third
a trilogy. A
a
tertiary
trilogy. I think for where we are, it was a really great entrance back into this fandom and film series, and I don't think probably anyone else could have done it as well as J.J. Abrams did. And I'm excited to see where Rian Johnson goes with it because he is a much, much different director. So hopefully I'll own this guy soon. But thanks, everyone.
Well,
You have been awesome. Tweet us at That's Normal or #TalkingNormal if you want to talk more about this. Thank you for listening, podcast listeners, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.